Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unpack a truly seismic geopolitical rupture, the United Arab Emirates' sudden departure from OPEC. Now, right off the bat, I need to tell you, this isn't just your standard energy story. Far from it. It's a shockwave that fundamentally rewrites the global energy order as we know it. Today, we're diving deep into this cinematic and incredibly complex saga, breaking down every single layer together. We'll be looking at everything from the multi-billion-dollar economics at play, all the way to the hidden, quite frankly surprising threats currently facing the global digital economy.
Okay, let's start right at the inciting incident. In May 2026, the UAE announced an exit that completely blindsided global markets. I mean, nobody saw this coming. For nearly 6 decades, they had been a remarkably loyal pillar of the oil cartel. But suddenly, as UAE diplomatic advisor Anwar Gargash noted, the strategic map was redrawn overnight. To truly grasp why this massive clash of national sovereignty versus collective discipline actually happened, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer volume of resources involved.
Just think about this massive number for a second, 1.3 million barrels per day. That is the formerly idled production headroom the UAE unlocked basically overnight. To put that into perspective, think of this capacity as a powerful, raging river that suddenly bursts right through an aging dam. For years, this immense, highly lucrative resource was kept artificially off the market. And now, the floodgates are wide open.
Section 1. Uncapping the oil wells. Let's peel back the first layer.
The absolute core of this multi-billion-dollar bet comes down to a concept called spare capacity. Imagine you own this incredible, state-of-the-art, fully staffed factory, right? But you're being ordered by an outside committee to run it at only half speed. That was literally the UAE's reality. Abu Dhabi sank over $150 billion into building up their production capabilities, yet strict OPEC quotas kept their true power locked away just to prop up global market prices.
The crucial point here is the glaring gap in the numbers. Under OPEC's strict discipline, the UAE was permitted to pump 3.45 million barrels a day. But in reality, their actual physical capacity was sitting way up at 4.8 million. They were essentially forced to sit on nearly 1.5 million barrels of capacity every single day. They were bleeding potential market share and billions in revenue. When you're a nation racing to monetize your oil before global demand eventually peaks, well, the math just doesn't work anymore.
Unshackled from those quotas, the UAE's national oil company, ADNOC, is moving with the speed and aggression of a Silicon Valley startup. By the end of 2026, they plan to ramp actual production toward the 4.7 million barrels a day mark, targeting a massive 5.5 million by 2030. They're not just pumping more, they are actively building direct pipelines to completely bypass vulnerable shipping lanes. The goal? To totally flood Asian markets with their highly prized, easily refined Murban crude.
So, what does this all mean? Well, it exposes a deep structural incompatibility right at the heart of the cartel. You've got the UAE playing a high-stakes volume game. Pump more, capture market share, and use all that cash for a massive $30 billion pivot into green tech. On the flip side, Saudi Arabia relies heavily on a price defense strategy. They need to restrict supply to keep oil expensive because they desperately need those high prices to fund their futuristic Vision 2030 mega projects. These two economic survival strategies, they just couldn't coexist in the same room anymore.
And honestly, zooming out for a second, you realize OPEC's overall grip has been steadily slipping anyway. Back in the 1970s, the cartel controlled over half the world's supply. By 2025, that slice had dropped to just 36.7%. With U.S. shale completely booming and renewables on the rise, the UAE clearly looked at the board and calculated that remaining in a shrinking cartel was a losing bet.
Section 2. The Saudi-Emirati fracture.
Now, we have the economics down, but is this historic exit really just about oil? The stark reality is, no, absolutely not. This is fundamentally a political move. It's a highly calculated challenge to Saudi Arabia's long-standing primacy in the region. To really understand why they take such a drastic step, we have to look at the Gulf's rapidly deteriorating security environment.
Listen to this. Just hours before the OPEC withdrawal, UAE diplomatic advisor Anwar Gargash delivered a scathing public indictment. He called out the collective security response from the Saudi-led Gulf Cooperation Council as the weakest stance historically, labeling it a crisis of confidence. You see, during a period where the UAE faced direct attacks on its territory and shipping, the alliance that was supposed to protect them practically vanished. Abu Dhabi felt completely abandoned.
And all of this intense frustration culminated in a massive diplomatic snub.
On April 28th, which, by the way, was the exact same day the OPEC exit was announced, the UAE president deliberately skipped an emergency Gulf Security Summit in Jeddah. Instead, he just dispatched his foreign minister. By perfectly timing this absence with the OPEC exit, the UAE sent a crystal clear message. We are no longer subordinating our national safety to Saudi convenience, period.
Section 3. The Post-Hedging Gulf Order.
We are literally watching a brand new, aggressive playbook unfold in real time. The UAE is essentially buying American strategic goodwill using barrels of oil. They are aggressively trading the fragile, unreliable umbrella of Gulf solidarity for hard, bilateral security guarantees. They're hosting Israeli missile defense systems, securing US dollar swap lines, which act as a massive financial safety net in emergencies, and demanding a direct veto on regional ceasefire terms. Washington is no longer just a diplomatic partner, it's a hard necessity.
And here is where the geopolitical danger really spreads like wildfire for the cartel. The UAE's exit takes OPEC's hidden fragility and blasts it like an open signal to the entire world. The demonstration effect here is absolutely huge. Nations like Kazakhstan and Nigeria, countries with their own spare capacity and a desperate need for revenue, they're watching this closely. They're realizing that collective production restrictions are a massive burden, not a shield. The psychological threshold for abandoning OPEC has just plummeted.
Section 4. Global Market Ripple Effects.
Make no mistake, this affects everyone. You, me, the global economy. When the UAE violently shakes the global oil price stabilizer, it sets off a domino effect across the entire macro pricing chain. A loosening of OPEC's grip means a whole new wave of volatility. And that volatility ripples directly into the cost of jet fuel for European airlines, global shipping rates, consumer inflation, and ultimately the massive interest rate decisions made by the Federal Reserve.
But here is perhaps the most fascinating hidden ripple effect of this whole ordeal. Financial experts point out that stable energy prices are the absolute bedrock of our modern digital world. Think about the billions of dollars currently pouring into AI data centers and cloud technology. Those investments rely entirely on predictable power costs. If the energy market enters an era of wild, unchecked volatility because OPEC can't control supply shocks, it actually threatens the global expansion of the entire tech industry.
Which brings us to the most terrifying open question of the next 60 days. Will Saudi Arabia retaliate? Will Riyadh accept immense financial pain, completely open the taps of Saudi Aramco and flood the market with 3 million extra barrels a day? Doing so would crash global benchmark prices to punish the UAE in a brutal, scorched earth market share war. But the collateral damage to the rest of the global economy? It would be absolutely staggering.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. The long-standing mythology of cartel control is officially broken. National sovereignty is successfully overriding collective discipline. So as the ultimate energy stabilizer loses its grip, how will your investments and the broader global economy survive in this wild new era of unconstrained sovereign energy competition? It's a profound question, and one we're all going to be forced to answer very soon.